Welcome, and thank you for your testimony today. Do you know what Frazzle Drip is?
Anthony Weiner's laptop were ever released, the government would fall. Weiner's laptop had kill switches in it.
The FBI's investigation of Weiner's laptop led to the discovery of a new batch of emails that Clinton had sent Abedin. That led former FBI Director James Comey to reopen the investigation into Clinton's use of a private email server while Secretary of State.
That was Comey trying to cover Comey because they knew they hadn't done what they should have done with the Weiner laptop, and the New York Police Department officers who were honest were going to disclose all that.
Because of Weinergate and the sexting scandal, the NYPD started investigating it. Through a subpoena, through a warrant, they searched his laptop and sure enough found those 650,000 emails. They found way more stuff than just the more information pertaining to the inappropriate sexting the guy was doing.
675,000 Clinton emails when they got Anthony Weiner's laptop in a search warrant because of all his sex perversion issues. It was all the Clinton emails, the Clinton Foundation, her Secretary of State emails, Huma Abedin's emails. Lots of people emailed Huma as a proxy for Hillary.
They found State Department emails. They found a lot of other really damning criminal information, including money laundering, including the fact that Hillary went to this sex island with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton went there more than 20 times. Hillary Clinton went there at least 6 times. The amount of garbage that they found in these emails of criminal activity by Hillary, by her immediate circle, and even by other Democratic members of Congress was so disgusting. They gave it to the FBI, and they said, we're going to go public with this if you don't reopen the investigation, if you don't do the right thing with timely indictments. NYPD was the first one to look at that laptop.
I heard that the New York police officers who saw some of it, even though they're hardened investigators, literally had to go throw up. It's bad.
Somebody sent it to me. I would not advise you to have a look at it. She and her spokeswoman, they put a 5-year-old girl naked on a table, bind it, and then with a scalpel they start to remove the face.
Oh my God.
And you hear this child screaming, and they take off the face, and Hillary Clinton puts it on her face and goes to the child. And you see, the child is all flesh, and then the eyes pour out, and this child sees her own face on the face of Clinton. I will never forget that image, and never the scream. That's how evil these people are.
Supposedly 9 cops watched the videos on Weiner's laptop. They had to keep leaving the room because they couldn't stand what they were seeing. And all 9 are now dead. And there's names and faces and deadness, right? They're real people. Now you can say, well, maybe they died for other reasons. I go, but it's still 9 cops.
There were a total of 12 individuals who saw Anthony Weiner's laptop computer. 9 of those 12 people are dead now.
Some sad news tonight. Another New York City police officer has taken his life. The second NYPD suicide in 2 days.
Well, Corey Thompson, with the latest suicide, the 8th this year, the 6th just the last 2 months alone.
Another New York Police Department officer has died by suicide, becoming the 9th to do so this year. According to a law enforcement official, the 56-year-old officer was off duty and at home. On Tuesday, another law enforcement official told CNN that an 8th officer had died by suicide. A 35-year-old
Robert Echeverria died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at home last night. The 25-year veteran officer's suicide came a little more than 24 hours after a 35-year-old officer took his own life. Commissioner James O'Neill is still struggling with the news.
You think, okay, this is going to be the last one, and last night got a phone call, and it just almost knocked me down. It just took the wind right out of me. I just, what the hell's going on here?
So far this year, there have been 9 NYPD suicides, 7 since June. Last year, there were a total of 4.
Another NYPD officer has just died by suicide. It's the 10th suicide so far this year. News 4's Gus Rosendale is live at the site of the shooting in Queens. Gus, what can you tell us?
Yes, Rana, that officer was pronounced dead at Queens General Hospital just a few minutes ago, and now a number of other officers are here trying to figure out exactly what happened. This is the scene at 178th and Union Turnpike in Utopia, Queens. Little known about who this officer was and the circumstances surrounding this. Again, we just know this was an off-duty officer with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was rushed to the hospital where he passed away just a short while ago. Now, leading up to this, as you mentioned, there have been 9 previous suicides by active members of the NYPD happening this year in 2019.
Now that is a strange coincidence. Anthony Weiner is alive. Weiner shared the laptop with his estranged wife, Huma Abedin, a close aide to Hillary Clinton since 2000.
NYPD chief commits suicide 1 month before retiring, was directly involved in Anthony Weiner laptop computer evidence handling. A high-ranking New York City Police Department officer has died from an alleged self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Deputy Chief Stephen Silks was found in an unmarked patrol car wearing civilian clothes Wednesday evening, just 1 month before he would turn 63 and face mandatory retirement. He allegedly shot himself in the head, with the gun reportedly discovered beside him. He was very closely and heavily involved in the investigation of the laptop seized from the former Congressman Anthony Weiner, which allegedly held volumes of Hillary Clinton email evidence on it. A fellow officer told the New York Daily News that Silks was deeply committed to the job. Silks reportedly submitted his mandatory retirement paperwork the day before. Other sources, however, say that the deputy chief was heavily involved in the sex crimes investigations of former Democrat Congressman Anthony Weiner, and that the chief personally oversaw the evidence gathering from a laptop computer seized from Weiner in that investigation. The laptop is alleged to have contained numerous emails from Hillary Clinton during her time as Secretary of State and numerous files in a folder titled Insurance Policy, which reportedly contained extraordinary details about child sex rings operated by and for use of high-ranking government officials nationwide. Ultimately, that laptop had to be turned over by NYPD to the FBI, who allegedly lost it. Rumors have circled for years that NYPD top brass took copies of the hard drive because they were suspicious of the feds in general and wanted to make certain that the evidence was preserved. One high-ranking NYPD official at the time the laptop was seized told media outlets he was sickened by what he saw on that computer, and if the feds did not pursue the necessary investigations, he would reveal what the laptop contained. It is now believed that Deputy Chief Silks was that official. No one is confirming or denying that information at this time. So, Deputy Chief Silks was one of the now 10 officers, and he allegedly was the one who oversaw the information on the Anthony Weiner laptop and made copies. Who else made copies? And who else has the information? Was it suicide? Probably not.
It was filled with crap that wasn't supposed to be there. We never get to see it. Supposedly 9 cops watched the videos on Weiner's laptop. They had to keep leaving the room because they couldn't stand what they were seeing. And all 9 are now dead. And there's names and faces and deadness, right? They're real people. Now you can say, well, maybe they died for other reasons. I go, but it's still 9 cops. You know, it's like the 5 cops who died after January 6th, right? 4 of them were suicides. According to AI, there were about 80 cops really in the thick of things. 4 of them died from suicide.
I'm not aware of the specifics about it. I heard some references about it from my team over the past 24 hours.
I just learned about it in the Washington Post this morning. There's an article with this headline, "A Platform for Free Speech That Extremists Routinely Exploit." And in it, the article explains that the recommendation engine for YouTube, which is owned by Google, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. The recommendation engine for YouTube recently suggested videos claiming that politicians, celebrities, and other elite figures were sexually abusing or consuming the remains of children, often in satanic rituals, according to watchdog group Algo Transparency. The claims echo and often cite the discredited Pizzagate conspiracy.
Does everybody know about Pizzagate?
This is a good time to remind us all that the Pizzagate conspiracy came out way before the Epstein revelations came out. Am I like way out of line to say that Epstein is pretty solid evidence that there might be some child trafficking going on with elites? Right? Like, is that too far out there to just say that we should maybe be looking into it?
This is insane.
So many people in the mainstream media have said Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory. Pizzagate has been debunked. It has not been debunked. If it's been debunked, explain the code words. No one to this day, including John Podesta himself, can explain the code words in his emails.
Hey, John Podesta, can you please explain why you have children rented for entertainment for your adult hot tub party?
A verification that high-level Washington, D.C. predatory pedophiles were using a code to communicate child sex trafficking.
The world of pedophilia has its own language, a language that's often reflected in Podesta's emails.
A mainstream journalist and close friend of John Podesta, who bragged about debunking Pizzagate, has been arrested on a slew of sickening child sex charges. Slade Somer, editor-in-chief at The Recount and friend of former Hillary Clinton campaign chair John Podesta, was arrested for raping multiple toddlers and babies. Despite the mainstream media claiming that Pizzagate is nothing more than a debunked conspiracy theory, numerous mainstream journalists and figures connected to the elite paedophiles have been arrested in recent times for the very crime they supposedly debunked. The mainstream media are desperate to cover up this news. On October the 17th, during a search at Somer's residence in Otis, the Berkshire Law Enforcement Task Force confiscated a phone containing hundreds of child pornography images and videos. Among the disturbing contents, the task force found a video allegedly recorded by Somer of a minor being raped, according to the Berkshire Eagle. Somer's collection of homemade child porn shows kids as young as 3 or 4 years old. The elite are heavily into pedophilia and Satanism.
And I have been put through this Pizzagate bullshit for a year, which has been totally debunked, by the way.
He's wrong. Pizzagate has not been debunked. Not when the people who did the debunking turned out to be the paedophiles in on the game. James Gordon Meek, a 10-year-old veteran reporter at ABC News, who also bragged about debunking Pizzagate, is facing life in prison after being convicted of a sickening array of child sex crimes.
ABC News anchor who debunked Pizzagate faces life in prison for child rape, raping small children, seeking to rape more children. But the feds say go easy on him. Now, the actual sentencing recommendation is life in prison for child rape, but the feds, they only want 15 years. ABC News reporter who bragged about debunking Pizzagate faces life in prison after being convicted of sickening array of child sex crimes.
CNN producer John Griffin, who produced numerous segments debunking Pizzagate for Chris Cuomo's show, was sentenced to 19 years in prison in June for a slew of sickening child sex crimes in Vermont.
A shocking report out of the Southern District of New York, where a prominent journalist in the tech industry has been taken into federal custody for crimes against children. One America's Jack Posobiec breaks down the charges against Peter Bright.
Peter Bright was until recently a tech journalist who worked for Ars Technica and Condé Nast. Bright also had an extremely active presence on social media, especially Twitter, tweeting under the name Dr. Pizza. Dr. Pizza frequently tweeted anti-Christian, anti-Republican sentiment, including extreme left-wing hatred of President Trump and Trump supporters. Dr. Pizza connected with an undercover FBI agent through a website called Kink D. The agent was posing as the mother of a 9-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl. Dr. Pizza reached out to the Post and started suggesting that he should meet the children for sexual acts. The text messages Dr. Pizza sent are highly disturbing, and in them, he also claimed he was currently engaged in a sexual relationship with an 11-year-old girl. Dr. Pizza described his child molestation acting in extreme detail. He was arrested after attempting to meet the undercover agent. However, due to his public posts, many are asking how much he did to hide his child sex crimes. On his Twitter page, he described himself as pervy. In tweets, Dr. Pizza wrote, "I think that age-based rape laws are stupid." He has a long history of public tweets that disturbingly show support for other forms of child abuse. And more disturbingly, One American News obtained archives of an internal message board from his company, Ars Technica. There, journalist Dr. Pizza advocated for the legalization of child pornography and the decriminalization of those who view child porn. He wrote, "All child porn legislation is illogical and unnecessary." He engaged in extreme debates with Ars Technica colleagues about why child pornography should be legalized. What is further shocking is these posts date back 20 years to 1999.
It clearly states right here that the plaintiff used pizza as a code word to talk about CSAM, which is child sexual abuse material, meaning child pornography. More about that here. If you want to read all this effed up shit, you can pause. And if you really want to know how horrible the world is, you can pause. Back on pizza as a code word. This is a court case from 2017. Statement sworn by Special Agent Isidro Cruz, where the undercover operative responded to a Craigslist ad entitled Women/Moms That Are Into Cheese Pizza, which sought to connect with mothers who were into perverted topics. They discussed a potential meeting with the 8-year-old daughter. The trafficker later admitted that cheese pizza was a reference to child pornography. These are all screenshots of actual postings on Etsy of things for sale, right? And just look at them and think, what is that about? Notice that this whole account is titled Yummy Yummy Pizza, Yummy Yum Pizza. And once this all broke, they stopped selling on Etsy. Because it's kind of weird that there's an account selling pictures of kids eating pizza for thousands of dollars, right? That's a little weird. But it's not just that account. And notice how these accounts have pizza in their names, meaning how is the pizza account going to go and sell real things when they're clearly here to sell pictures of pizza for thousands of dollars, or dolls for 28,000 euros, or drawings for 47,000, or yeah. And when you look at the order info for this one, handmade, delivering from Turkey, and then they stopped selling. Because, yeah, that's kind of weird. 50,000, just look at it. What are they selling? Only one left, 20 views. Yeah. What started the whole thing was a leak of emails from Hillary Clinton's email servers that were leaked to WikiLeaks by a Russian spy. You can do the dig. It was not a Russian spy. It was someone inside the DNC. They leaked a shitload of emails with some really weird stuff in them. The ones from Podesta were actually so toxic that they have scrubbed the internet of all access. WikiLeaks is down for the Podesta emails. You can't get it. Fortunately, the internet never forgets. Hi, John, the realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy. Feel free not to respond. Remember that map also means minor attracted person when you're talking about other things. And it's just a kind of weird email to send. Not to mention this one that was in the Hillary Clinton emails that ends with fingers crossed, the old rabbit's foot out of the box in the attic. I will be sacrificing a chicken in the backyard to Moloch. Why isn't that linked in the PolitiFact article? I have questions. That's the point. I thought this was debunked, but I got a lot of questions. I'm not claiming that Hillary Clinton is like a Satanist that's drinking blood or anything. I'm saying I have questions, and why aren't we answering them? This is a big deal. And the mainstream media treatment that it gets makes it even more suspicious. And I have even more questions. I'm not sure there's another story on the internet that is more heavily suppressed and censored, and I can't help but wonder why.
Which 2 years ago led to a man firing shots into a Northwest Washington, D.C. pizzeria in search of children he believed were being held as sex slaves by Democratic Party leaders. One recent variation on the theory, which began spreading on YouTube this spring, claimed that Democrat Hillary Clinton and her longtime aide Huma Abedin had sexually assaulted a girl and drank her blood, a conspiracy theory its proponents dubbed frazzle drip. Now, the article goes on to describe how this frazzle drip conspiracy is all over YouTube, and some of the frazzle drip clips purport to show grainy images of Clinton and Abedin committing crimes and speak of invoking the death penalty. One video, which has been viewed 77,000 times and remains online today, has a voiceover that says, "Will these children become the dessert at the conclusion of the meal?" So, and this is just one example that they use of extreme right and paranoid conspiracy groups using YouTube as a place to trade their videos and to promote propaganda.
They're using children. The blood of the innocent is the currency of their dark economy across all things, tied back into global trafficking campaigns and ritualistic child sacrifice. Every single thing that's ever gotten dug into comes back to that. And again, because that's the currency and how they're breaking open to receive the advanced knowledge for the tech. It is 100% a satanic, Luciferian, high-level influence campaign.
Do you think you're the devil himself? No, but I do have a good mirror.
In the Epstein files, there's receipts showing that babies were sold to Epstein.
We have this woman who sends a photo of her baby to Epstein and says, "Your generosity has no limits," after receiving an unbelievable sum in her bank account, and that she's never seen such a number in her bank account. Harvard professor Martin Nowick emailed Ghislaine in 2002 to thank her for her hospitality, and out of nowhere said, "I'm so happy I didn't kill anybody," referring to their visit.
As I've looked more into what is inside of the Epstein files, there is increasingly bizarre, esoteric, dark stuff that he was interested in. In this video, we're going to focus on some of that. And honestly, for me, it raises a lot of questions. From Deepak Chopra to Jeffrey Epstein, subject non-local study. Deepak Chopra is connecting Epstein with this doctor here, doing experiments on autistic kids to see what kind of special abilities can be unlocked. So what you're looking at here are these two girls copying the behaviors of the boy. All three are blindfolded.
Good. Nice. Can they now do something different with your body?
A caravan trip has been really wonderful in meeting people that are stage 3. You'll see this come up often. These are people who are developing a different perspective of reality and discovering the gifts that they have. Also, in rallying others who have a strong interest in this area. Among the new projects emerging include a base to use science-based approach and Eastern practices to help sort these stage 3 people out. So again, you have a mixture of Eastern practices and scientific approaches. In another file here, they're talking about these RF signals. It says these transmitters send a signal of RF, audio and video, that are used to make people receive the signal in a way that interferes with their central nervous system. These transmitter people use extensive conditioning techniques to make people experience tactile, auditory, and visual hallucinations. It is used extensively to molest children.
Classic stage 3, a young girl who was traumatized through sexual as a young child and is now gradually developing special and supernatural abilities, can sound pretty crazy until you understand all of these ancient religions, all these ancient mystery schools for which Jeffrey Epstein clearly, pulls a lot of his beliefs from.
And why is Epstein's house just riddled with this bizarre symbology?
And up on the ceiling, a hand-painted sky filled with animals, constellations, and zodiac symbols staring down at whatever had taken place below. The sculpture was positioned directly in front of it, so what you saw when you looked up that staircase wasn't just a woman on a rope. It was a bride, veiled, barefoot, looking down, descending from the heavens, falling from paradise like a scene from a Renaissance painting of an angel cast out of heaven.
Now, this is where it gets almost unbelievably bizarre and dark, and it reads honestly like science fiction. I cannot believe this is actually real, and it, at least for me, causes me to step back and ask, what hypothesis or what paradigm actually explains his interest in these topics? Like, what is actually going on here?
Epstein was obsessed with transhumanism, the idea of using technology and genetic engineering to create superior human beings. He told multiple scientists about his plan to turn his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, a 7,500-acre compound with its own airstrip, helipad, and a 26,000 square foot mansion miles from anywhere, into a breeding compound where he would impregnate up to 20 women at a time.
With one of the victims writing about it in detail in her diary. Controlled all by Jeffrey, and go to New Mexico? What in the hell? He is now controlling everything. Superior gene pool? Why me? I miss the person I was before I was made into what feels as a human incubator.
Here they're talking about designer babies, and he says this gets us out of the self-funded garbage biology phrase to the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changes and the world will never be the same again.
What is your company policy on that, and are you trying to deal with it?
You know, we are constantly undertaking effort to deal with misinformation, but you know, we have clearly stated policies, and we have made lots of progress in many of the areas where, you know, over the past year. So, for example, in areas like terrorism, child safety, and so on, we are looking to do more. You know, this was a recent thing, but I'm committed to following up on it and making sure we are evaluating these against our policies. But it's an area we acknowledge there's more work to be done, and you know, and we'll definitely continue doing that.
One of the videos discussed included images of a body on a table before restrained children and of Hillary Clinton with a bloodied mouth and fangs claiming that she and Abedin drank the blood of their victim. That was removed, but then another consisting of an exact copy of the video remained online, or apparently remains online. I mean, is your basic position that this is something you want to try to do something about, but basically there's just an avalanche of such material and there's really nothing that can be done, and it should be buyer beware or consumer beware when you go on YouTube?
You know, we do grapple with difficult issues. Maybe we have to look at it on a video-by-video basis, and we have clearly stated policies. So we would need to evaluate whether the video, the specific video, violates any of our policies. And we do strive to do it for the volume of content we do get. And, you know, we get around 400 hours of video every minute. But it's our responsibility, I think, to make sure, you know, YouTube is a platform for freedom of expression, but it's responsible and contributes positively to society.
Some of my colleagues are upset about negative references to Donald Trump, not Hillary Clinton or not Barack Obama. And obviously, you know, one potential strategy today is to try to heckle you into somehow playing favorites with Donald Trump and Republicans. I think that would be a silly and ridiculous takeaway from this. On the other hand, there is material which is a true public danger. You know, you've got a right to have whatever politics you have. I mean, we could subpoena Fox News and bring them in here and beat them up about how 90% of the references on Fox News to Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton are negative, but they've got that right under the First Amendment. You've got a right under the First Amendment to have whatever political views you've got. But I think the point at which it becomes a matter of serious public interest is when your communications vehicle is being used to promote propaganda that leads to violent events, like the guy showing up within the Pizzagate conspiracy case. And so I guess my question is, are you taking that threat seriously?
I mean, gentleman's time is expiring, but you can answer the question.
Thank you. Well, we have very clear policies against hate speech, things which could incite harm or hatred or violence. And, you know, that's an area where we are clearly taking a lot of action. But I want to acknowledge there is more work to be done. And, you know, with our growth comes more responsibility, and we are committed to doing better as we invest more in this area.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.